Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll start with a roll call. Gary Sims, I, he's not here, and I do believe he is still kind of on a sabbatical. Josh Chrysler,
Here.
David Benner,
Here.
Elizabeth DeGreener, Schellner. Oh, okay. She might come back. Patrick Bustos,
Here.
Kelly Severe, here. Patrick Vaughn,
Here.
Chuck Burdick.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, so I'm going to get started. And then we have a new member. Is she joining us? Is she online?
She's
Okay.
online.
Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I apologize for not being there. I'm in Casper at a training, so thank you for the Zoom link. I'm Josephine Carlson. I'm really excited to be on the board. Looking forward to the projects, even what we're going over today. And I don't know what else you'd like to know.
I think some of you, if you've been on the board for a little while, we gave her the Du Bois Award last year for the work that she did on her home. So yeah. Well, welcome, and hopefully we'll see you in person next time. I'm excited that you at least were able to join us online tonight. So next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the April 14th meeting.
Chair, I also just want to let you know that Elizabeth is online now.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'd move to approve the April 14 minutes.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? No? All in favor? Say aye.
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 Any opposed? Same sign. Hey, are there any disclosures, conflicts of interest? Does anyone need to disclose at this time? No. Audience business, comments from the audience?
I'm not usually down here, but thank you, Madam Chairman and members of the board. This is a really, really special Historic Preservation Month because we're celebrating Cheyenne's greatest historic preservation effort over at the pump house. It is being a native and having seen too many buildings destroyed, and knowing the effort that goes into saving something. And really it was, I think it's a compliment and an important compliment to the people that preceded you on this board, because they consistently over the years, beginning with the initiation of the board, of course, really worked to raise that consciousness, to make those awards. But it really wasn't that the city of Cheyenne itself took that leadership role until now. It was really quite significant that a pretty rough looking pump house got the attention it deserved. And so that's quite a statement. It is now under analysis, and I was talking to the individual responsible, and he said he expects to see it completed this year. And so and what's really important there is that the funds will be available. It's really wonderful to know that the community's behind it. There was some other council members that didn't think it was such a hot idea, but it was the tour that we organized with the Alliance that really showed people and themselves, because it was a tucked away situation. So I also noted when I looked up a little bit of information before I came down here that this is the 50-year anniversary of the historic tax credits. And so that's, I think we all need to kind of give a mental thank you to our forefathers and foremothers and people who really cared about our incredible architectural heritage here in Cheyenne. And that's pretty exciting to really have seen it come to fruition. I hope we can get some folks down there pretty soon and take a look at what's planned. It's not going to be a office building. It's going to be a work building. And so that's really meaningful. I just, you can tell how excited I am. It was something that was that close. That close. There was on the council, you know, there's 10 of us. And so I would say it was about 5-5. And so it was that, it was the people coming forward that really made the difference. And so I'm just believing that it's going to be an example. And it's not only that, an example is part of a much larger program that we are seeing some great success on 2 blocks away from here along the Reed Avenue corridor, those warehouses, the grain elevator. I mean, there's some really, and I'm not sure what Tony's going to do with ANC feed, but he's got some unusual buildings there that could do some unique things. So this is really a big moment. We got $5 million for that to fund the project after almost 10 years of effort. So I'd like to hand out some invitations if I could, Madam Chair.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to have a little party over there on Thursday,
Oh, nice.
and it's going to be fun to take a look at. Take a look at what we can accomplish, because there's a number of warehouses that need some help. And of course, it's always interesting to see that when not only is it the existing building.
Thank you.
It is the interest of the property owners and the investors. They're seeing the value of historic preservation in fiscal way. Do you give me one? Oh, yeah. And so this is a big moment, a big day, and a big month. And this isn't all the good news. I think we're all somewhat aware of what's happening down at the Heinz building in the hole. They haven't finalized everything yet. And, but after 35 years of that I was involved in it, and I don't know if all of you have been upstairs in the Heinz building, because it is unique and spectacular. And so we're going to be having tours and showing people what's there, because it was state of the art and has stood the test of time. And we're going to actually fill the hole, which is a big deal. And I was just over at the Atlas Theater across the street and what they're doing. So there's a lot going on. Oh, that's, yep. And it comes from the heart, does it not? It is, it doesn't, it isn't just another strip mall. It is, it is, has meaning. And I really just wanted to come down tonight and invite you and point out what we've accomplished together and what the challenges are going to continue to be, because we're getting older, the buildings are getting older, and it's just important that we make sure we do what we can. And the corridor itself, 15th Street down to the pump house, really a big major project that we've been working on a long time. We just acquired some property down there that's going to bring the Greenway path up. So it's we're building on what was initially conceived of, and that's pretty darn exciting. So I really appreciate your time. You got any questions?
This is awesome. I'm so glad to see that the Reed Avenue corridor is happening, and that's awesome that there's a celebration on Thursday. I appreciate you inviting us. I mean, all of this is really exciting. The Heinz, the Pump House. I mean, it's a pretty successful year so far.
Well,
So
and
thank you
it's,
for sharing.
I think we're going to be able to make some hay out of it and say, hey, we weren't so crazy, were we? This had value, and we showed the community that it did, and the community responded. And really, with the pump house itself, that's a city building. That is not that's not private, and it's not it was really rough looking, but it's been extensively analyzed. It's quite stout, and it's gonna go on, and it's also going to be part of other efforts in the area. So all kinds of good in the Historic Preservation Month and the historic preservation world, and hope you can come to our party.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Pete?
I don't have a question. I have a comment.
Okay.
Pete, I want to thank you for your steadfast work on this pump house. I've only been on the board for 3.5 years now, but this was a topic of concern for this board for a long time. And we've had a lot of interaction with the city. And Pete, I remember you coming and saying, I'm going to stand in front of the bulldozer.
Well, we didn't have to.
And we're glad we didn't have to, but your willingness to stand up and work with this board and work with people that needed to hear that the pump house was important. And so, Pete, I just want to, thank you for your steadfast, insistence about, working with this board and working to preserve the pump house. It really is a true victory for the city, this board, and this whole community that we were able together to save the pump house. It's really an accomplishment that we should be very proud of.
And so as we serving on the council and sitting up there through many experiences, and lately they've been pretty ugly experiences, but I was appointed to be the champion of the pump house. They didn't think I was going to be able to do it, and the champion insists. And so we're very pleased, and we look forward to further improvements. And really, when you look at our downtown, there have been some not too noticeable but very important buildings that have been saved. There's a couple little ones. I mean, what we're seeing now is instead of getting 5 parking spaces, the building is staying up, and people are committing to it. So my office is at 1721 Warren, in one of the oldest buildings downtown, 1881. And so it makes sense financially as well as emotionally. And I really appreciate your time and look forward to our continued efforts.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Do we have any other audience business? Nope. Okay. Comments from City Council, which I know Ken is not here. Are you going to just speak on his behalf? Okay.
Chair to the board, Charles Bloom, Planning Development Director. Councilman Escobar asked me just to fill him in briefly on what was going on at the council level. For those of you who do not watch the Monday Night Live event on Zoom or YouTube or Facebook, it's been entertaining recently. There's been a lot of public comment that is, for lack of a better term, AI driven. So we'll just leave that there. But the high level items that they've considered is they are issuing a new microbrewery permit for a new microbrewery that will be located next to the Dur Bar at Cheyenne Plaza. I know that is not necessarily historic, but that complex is approaching historic eligibility just based on its age. So look for that next to the Dur Bar. That's been a long time coming. It's been a process they've gone through our department for a little while, but they're taking their time, which is great. There were a lot of different amendments and ordinances that were approved. One of those was a planned unit development ordinance amendment for Sweetgrass, just to change the size of public park area in the future, which would allow for them to continue to move forward with a potential private park facility that would be privately funded. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. There were some ordinances that were introduced. One of those is regarding rezoning of the HR Ranch PUD, a portion of it. If you are out on Industrial Road out to the east of town, you see that neighborhood that's just out in the middle of nowhere. There's a whole other half that's been built with alleys and roadways, small lots, garage facing, kind of your historic type of design that you would see in the old days, that hadn't been developed. They are actually looking to develop it in that same pattern, but with more water-wise landscaping. So they're removing this house from the PUD because it has very strict sod and living material requirements. So that is moving forward. One of the more attention-grabbing items that popped up was the introduction and referral to committee of an ordinance that would establish a moratorium on data center development and massive expansions for existing one. That is one that has echoed a lot of concern in the industry lately, as we've had a lot of folks with their target on Cheyenne. And there is a lot of misinformation that is out there, surprisingly, using data centers and such to generate the misinformation. The facts of the data centers here in the Cheyenne area are, we mandate closed loop systems. So your typical new large data center you see, like a Walmart sized one, that's only using the equivalent of about 3 to 5 single family homes water per year. It's very little water that is used to facilitate the data centers. There are ones that have high water use, but those are ones that we do not see nowadays. We have seen some in the past here before. Golf courses are bigger water users, car washes, those types of items. Some single family homes are larger users than our data centers that we have today. The other discussion that seems to be out there is that the electrical rates are going to go up for all of the taxpayers. Wyoming, Cheyenne, and Black Hills Energy worked together a lot in the past to create what is effectively called tolling. Basically, any large energy user is required to essentially foot the bill for the generation, creation, distribution, and the network to get the power from where they're getting it, how they're getting it to their facility. So basically, they are required to offset any additional cost. We were a model state that many states have followed since. A lot of the rhetoric you see online is past practices that are limited to a very small handful of states nowadays. But again, it's just misinformation that's out there. There's a lot of information that does flow. Other concerns that have been identified with data centers are what happens for reuse in the future when they are phased out in 30 years. That's a question. If you look around at anything you see that's developed today, what happens in 30 years? Most places that you look at, stores you shopped at 30 years ago, are they still here today? A lot of them have changed names. They've been repurposed. They've turned into different things. So there's a discussion point about what about data centers? What do we do? So we'll see how that goes. That is sponsored by one council member, and we'll see if there's additional support, but it definitely has echoed some concern, not only with data center developers, but with groups that have already began to invest and are pretty far down the line. But most importantly, the private residents of Laramie County and of the city of Cheyenne that have exercised that they want to have the freedom and the ability to sell and market their property as they desire instead of as a select few people desire. So that's moving forward through our governing body. We'll see what happens at public services, and it moves forward through the governing body. The other thing, the council is busy with noontime work sessions. So if you want to hear how the city is funded and how the $84 million budget is distributed, tune in to this room through your choice of social media platform or YouTube, and you can watch our budget presentations. Our planning and development department budget will be presented at noon on Friday. There are no surprises. We're maintaining the status quo and actually only asking for one line item to be increased to pay for a little bit of overtime, but we're giving back money to the city, the tune of about 100 and 70,000, somewhere in there. It's a good chunk of change because we had a one-time fund for the comprehensive plan, which we are rolling over to this next fiscal year. So that's it for council updates. If you have any questions, I could probably answer them. I spend most Monday nights here for those council meetings. But we can also reach out to Councilman Escobar.
Does anyone have any questions? The next item is the report from planning and development. I know you probably did some of that. I don't know if you have any other items to add.
Chair, members of the Preservation Board, the only updates I have there really are in regards to our comprehensive plan. We have an RFP that is presently out for solicitation, basically asking firms to propose drafting a full revision of our community character element of our comprehensive plan. That's a lot of words. I wouldn't expect all of you to know what it is. So I'll give a brief overview. That is basically our land use plan. So what is going to go where in the future? It helps guide us in our decisions when we rezone properties. It's our broad overreaching policies and principles regarding such topics as, I'll say it, sustainability. Equity is another item. Sometimes their historic preservation is an item. Also transportation planning, transportation alternatives, all of those items that help make your community a better, more vibrant community. Those are all topics that are to be discussed. One thing we also are looking at with this comprehensive plan update is we're asking all the consultants who respond to provide an additive, so an add-on to the comp plan that would look at commuting patterns in the region. Specifically, we're trying to identify and update our numbers as to where people are coming to work here. Back in 2017, the last study was done and it showed approximately 3,200 or so people, maybe a little bit more, coming in from Larimer County and Weld County to work. It had an inflow, there was a little bit of outflow, and there was a pretty good inflow from Albany County, Wyoming, and there was an outlier from Sweetwater County that made no sense. But anyway, that was there. But we're looking to get that updated to see how things have changed, especially with the boom in construction that we see more recently, to identify where those folks are coming from. So that's one of the big items with the comprehensive plan. That period to respond to the RFP that closes on May 28th. We hope to have a consultant on board and ready for July 1st of this year. Other items, we are working on 2 ordinances that are moving forward to the Planning Commission. One of those is regarding historic horse racing. Right now, a majority of those establishments go to the Board of Adjustment for review and approval. And that's the final decision-making body. A majority of these are going to be required to go to the governing body for review and approval. This is supposed to coincide with the statutory changes that were made to give the cities more control over the licensing of those facilities as well. Another item that we have moving forward is an amendment to reclassify carports that are of certain size and certain design to allow them to be constructed in front yards and driveways and such. As you may notice when you drive around different areas of town, 22nd Street is one that just pops up right now. There's a couple of carports that are located above driveways. Presently, none of those are legal. If you see a carport in the front yard of someone's house, there's a high probability that it was not permitted and is not an approved structure. This is a council member driven amendment. We'll see how it goes, but we're going to take it forward for consideration. The highlights of this ordinance, the way we drafted it, is we looked at this 3 or 4 years ago, and when we did that, we looked at requiring architectural compatibility. It's hard to find that at a reasonable price at Menards because most people just look at the checkbook and they look at the price tag and they say, oh, there's a nice metal one with a curved top, and that's what they end up purchasing. So we're allowing those, but we have a requirement that the lower 50% of any part of that structure cannot be covered with metal siding, so it keeps it open. And also limits the desire for people to put things there, lean things against walls, start to accrue stuff. So there are provisions that allow people, if they want to do something that matches the house, to fill them in completely or more than 50%. So you're rewarded for good design. So that's, I believe, it from our department. That's high level, unless Aaron has anything to add.
Does anyone have any questions? Oh,
Question, the illegal existing carports, are you gonna make them come up to code for the new things or just leave them in there? Cause I know there's 2 of them on my street, so.
Chair, members of the board, we could spend all day going through zoning enforcement if we wanted to, and we could commit to being those folks in the community. We operate on a complaint basis. So if someone does complain, that's when we start to investigate. We do walk around a lot with blinders on, just because it's painful sometimes to see what's going on. And if it's not complaint based, if it's something that is blatantly illegal or completely against an approved plan that was recently approved, those are times when we step up for an enforcement action.
Yeah, cause it seems like it's a lot of
So
the,
no is the
a lot of the
answer.
1950s and 60s houses only had single car garages, and where they're putting these things in is where they have a single car garage and then they're extending it so they can have 2 cars out of the hail.
Yeah, I just had a question. Mr. Layburn was mentioning like the hole in the Hines. And I was just curious if there's like, is it accessible for us to view the current plans for what that looks like? Is that something we can find online? I'm just thinking about, we talk about the Hines all the time, but curious about the, and of course it's listed on the National Register. So I'm just curious what the plans are for, he's mentioning the upper floors, and if there's anything related to historic preservation we need to have our eye on as they're working on that project that would affect the historic integrity.
Chair, members of the board, board member Chrysler, that's a really good question and request. We have not seen any plans for that have been submitted. We've just been told that there will be housing units and they will be building the structure next to it. We haven't seen the actual plans. Nothing has been submitted. I do know the property owner is very open to tours. They've given tours of that facility before. So if that's something you all would desire, I think that we could work on getting that put together. As soon as we do have any plans, that is something we will definitely share with the Historic Preservation Board.
Yeah, I think tours would be great. And then also it sort of connects into like the design guidelines for downtown that we're sort of trying to figure out how to move forward. So especially for whatever they end up putting into the whole, it would be good for us to have some sort of input or eyes on that. So
yeah. Chair, through to the board, it's my understanding that it will be it will have parking on the rear portion of it. It'll have some element of parking. And then the Lincoln Way facing side will have a storefront, at least on the first floor. So you'll have an active pedestrian space. That's what's been relayed to us so far, but we haven't seen anything that's been designed, nor anything that's been backed by a pro forma that says that it can actually fund itself. This is in a tax increment financing urban renewal plan and project area. So when square footage is increased and added to the area, or when property existing square footage is enhanced and the value goes up, it will generate a tax increment that will be eligible for use of public, of dollars for public facing elements. One item that's been highly discussed as being eligible for tax increment financing would be for facade repair and renovation of the existing structure and facade enhancements to the new structure. So regardless, they will be wanting to access that funding because only those 2 lots can access that funding. So the only eligible folks. There will be a public review process that surrounds that, and we'll definitely keep you all in the loop.
Yeah, that'd be great because I mean, when you're talking about parking, I mean, you're saying alley access to well in a garage. I mean, I guess I haven't looked at that, so I don't know if that's feasible for in and out and turning radius and all of that. But I do think that the Bell Building is a good example of there being a entrance from the street into the building. And if they're approaching it that way, or if that's too close to the intersection. So yeah, I'm very interested in how they're going to approach that and hopefully do something that complements the two buildings next to it. Patrick?
I have a couple of questions, Charles. First is, I received a message from the SHPO about a conference in September. And I'm not sure if that's happening. And my question is, what's our training budget look like if we wanted to send board members to that? I think it's going to be in Casper, if I'm correct.
Yep, that's correct.
And I don't know if you guys talked about it last month, but I'm just putting on the radar that, we should participate somehow. And Charles, I just curious, did we spend all our money in Denver, and is there money to send, probably the newest board members to that? And, I don't know if it's a 2-day or, so Charles, is just something to look at. And do you want to respond, or just go, you can come back next month and that's fine?
Chair and members of the board, we do have funding for travel. We actually have a healthy travel allowance that's in the department that we've dipped into for like planning commissioner training and stuff in the past. And we could always leverage that with some of the board's funds if desired. This year we have not spent even, we still have extra in our travel budget. Notably because a lot of the travel that I have done is with National APA, that's American Planning Association, and it's been budgeted through grant awards. So I've been able to travel for next to nothing on the city's dime. And then a lot of our staff members don't seem to want to get out of town too much. So, no, but yeah, so we'll see where we are, but we could definitely manage to explore that. Basically what we look at is identifying what the registration is and on what the per diem and the hotels would be and mileage.
Josh?
My understanding too is that the SHPO is providing funding for up to 3 people from each CLG to attend. That's what I understood from the email, that the SHPO would be providing some funding.
That's probably true.
Yeah,
That's even better.
I think the registration fees were waived if you were with a CL.
So we send everybody. Second question, Charles, is I know that the board has recently spent some money. I think we put a line item in for $7,000 for the fountain for an assessment. And I know, I think I don't know, Gary gave us some money for ornaments and that kind of stuff. And if at next month's meeting, you could just tell us where we are financially. I just curious with that $7,000 commitment, like what are we looking at? And then the last thing is at the retreat, Charles, you mentioned that you had contacted the school board and somebody in the Brownfields program concerning Hebert Elementary. And I'm wanting to know if there's any progress on that. And Charles, the other thing is I'm personally interested in working with whoever we need to work with at the school district and at EPA. I used to work at EPA, so there may be a little bit of issue with my conflict of interest, but I'm interested in that project and if there's been any movement on that and if there's anything that I can do from my perspective, Charles.
Chair through to the commission and Commissioner Bustos. I can answer the question about the funding right now. We do get our report from the finance department. Right now, there's $32,246.01 that are unrestricted, 1 cent. That is through revenue from the ornament sales, those items. There is $155,703.26 as restricted, which is the restriction from the will for the historic fountain. So
Thank you.
that's that. Regarding the EPA assessment grant award, I was just talking to our environmental consultant on Monday or Friday. I don't know what day it was. It was either yesterday or Friday. About this. The EPA generally contacts folks in mid-May to identify if they're a recipient of that award. And if we are a recipient of the award, then we go out to RFP where we solicit someone to basically go through the Brownfields Assessment Program. It's a $500,000 award is what it is. And then we would be able to get those folks on board. And then the eligibility to spend would begin federal fiscal year on October 1st. So that's when we would have that. But we're keeping our fingers crossed that we'll get the award in the next couple of weeks. At least the announcement and a press release will go out. We didn't get the last one, but we think we're very optimistic on this one.
Thank you, Charles.
Any other questions? No. All right, we'll move on to strategic goals reports. Oh,
I'm sorry, Chair. I meant to mention during my item, if there's any way we could modify the agenda possibly to take the
yes.
new business before the updates, I think our visitors
idea.
would appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so for new business, we have a certificate of appropriateness. This is for 418 West First Avenue. This was the project we discussed in last month's meeting. Is there a presentation that, oh, okay. Or I guess, Charles, do you have? No, okay. Would you like to come up and to talk about your project? I think we've kind of got a general idea of what you're doing, but if you want to just give a brief overview.
I can also give the staff report first
Oh, sure.
and then you can go after. Okay. So this is a demolition permit and certificate of appropriateness to allow an attached garage to be demolished and a new addition built. The property is located within the Moorhaven Heights Historic District and is zoned to MR medium density residential. The property is located at 418 West First Avenue and is legally described as Lot 15, Block 35, Moorhaven Heights. The property is north of West First Avenue between Bent and Pioneer Avenues. The property is surrounded by the MR zone on all sides. There is an existing residence with an attached garage on the property. The residence was built in 1935 and is a one-story side gabled brick residence that represents the Tudor architectural style. The exterior walls of the building consist of a tan brick laid in a stretcher bond pattern with dark brick windowsills. There's an attached hipped-roofed one-car brick garage on the north side of the dwelling. In 2007, the residence was listed as good physical integrity and good integrity of setting. The structure is listed as a 3 contributing status. The owner seeks to obtain a demolition permit and a certificate of appropriateness to demolish the attached garage and construct a new addition. The garage is deteriorating and is causing a safety concern. The garage is unusable and the garage would be accessed by the alley and is not visible on First Avenue. The changes that the applicant has proposed primarily affect the rear of the residence. The existing attached garage has been damaged and has structural failure. There have been separation of layers within the brick face. The brick face has pitched away from this substructure and has cracked and bowed in multiple locations, causing a potential collapse of the eastern face. The affected loose areas were removed for safety reasons. There has also been cracking to the interior masonry of the western wall of the garage, requiring temporary interior reinforcements being installed to prevent an uncontrolled collapse. Both wooden doors, entry, and overhead are decayed. Staff has reviewed the proposal and determined that it meets the criteria for the following reasons. Number one, the requested demolition is limited to a deteriorated rear garage that has experienced structural failure and presents a safety concern. The structure is not visible from the public right of way, and its removal will not significantly impact the historic character of the primary residence or the Moore Haven Heights Historic District. The proposed addition, number two, the proposed addition generally maintains the existing footprint and is designed to be compatible with the primary structure in scale, massing, and roof form. The project is consistent with surrounding uses and zoning requirements. It does not create adverse impacts to public health, safety, or general welfare. Due to meeting all the review criteria, staff recommends approval of the demolition permit and the certificate of appropriateness.
Oh, thanks. Want to introduce yourself and
Good evening. I'm Chris Merrithew, Meritthew. We moved to Cheyenne a little over a year ago. Love the place, and we're trying to make it more of a home.
anything to add on the addition that you're putting?
No, I think everything was pretty much in
Okay.
the report. You saw that, yes, the current garage not only is coming down, but our car won't even fit in it. It's obviously built for 1935 Model T. So it's totally worthless. And I've removed what things I was concerned about. So that's the point we're at. Is the other issue is for today's lifestyles, the house really isn't functional for a lot of people. It's a 1-story, 1-bedroom upstairs with 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom downstairs. So anybody who has toddlers, children, et cetera, would not find it really much of an acceptable home. We're both the youngest in our families, and we're both past 70. So any family members that come to visit us, we have the issue of getting down the old basement stairs. You know what 1935 stairs are like, yeah. So that's why we're looking to make some improvements and bring it up to today's needs.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? No, would anyone like to? Oh, go ahead.
I just had one question for you about that I couldn't tell from the report, and it looked like from the staff report they weren't sure either what materials you're planning to use for the facade of the addition.
So we ran problem.
Good question.
That's the current brick that's on it,
Mhm.
which we can't find. Nobody seems to even close to it anymore. So what we're looking at doing is a board and batten siding on the back in that color to blend it in as best we can to. The board and batten would be appropriate for the age, and then the color, just trying to get as close to the brick color as we can.
Well, and I think it is good to differentiate between the historic and the new structure. So
We can't hide it as a new structure, so.
Yep.
Make it smooth it in.
And then just to follow up on that, did I understand also that you used some of the historic brick off the garage to repair the chimney?
Several places on the front, and the top third of the chimney had to be rebuilt. So again, we were faced with brick. So the ones that we were able to salvage that weren't busted up, that's what we used them for.
Yeah, I think that's great. You're able to reuse that material, and yeah,
This
that's great.
isn't our first historic. The 1860, I think, was the last one we worked on. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
we've been through the process. We understand. Yeah, it was pre-Civil War. So. Yeah. The house sat on 4 granite boulders on the corners. So we started with foundation up. So yeah, we've been through this.
any other questions? Nope. Okay, you look like you wanted to press the button, so.
I don't have questions, but I do have some
Sure.
issues, and I don't know.
Yeah,
if
I think we might want to start with a motion and then discussion.
I would move to approve the demolition permit.
Anyone? Someone second?
I have a question on the motion. Is the motion, are we considering just the demolition or demolition and construction?
Demolition and construction.
Okay.
Okay.
I would second the motion to approve the certificate of
Okay.
appropriateness.
Discussion? Patrick, do you want to? You have comments, questions?
Several. First, I want to kind of, I think, this concerns me for a couple of reasons. One is, I know it's in the back, but I'm going to take issue with the staff's recommendation number 2, that this generally maintains the existing footprint. The existing footprint is being doubled. That's not in this, it's not the same footprint. What you're doing is you're taking about a 12 by, I don't know, what is it?
12 by
18,
20.
12 by 20 and going to a, what is it?
23.
27 by
20.
29,
Yeah.
which is double. And, I understand this is 1935, but what you're doing is basically, if you look, I'm glad you have this photo up there or this rendering, is basically you're doubling the size of the back of the house.
Correct.
That really changes for me the whole character of the particular house, because I know it's not visible from the street. I know you have issues with garages. I have a small garage too. I can't fit my car in it. And I have no issues with taking down the garage, but my first issue is that you're doubling the size. And that changes for me the whole character of the back of the house in relationship to the front of the house. Now, I get the point that it's not visible, but it changes the whole character of the house for me. It makes it twice as large as it is right now. So, I mean, you really are substantially changing the footprint, and that's my first concern. The other concern is that Josh kind of alluded to it, and that's materials. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable to demolish and put something up without adequate information. For me, I'm not sure. I mean, there's a reference to windows in here. I don't know what the material, what the makeup of those windows are going to be. Are they going to be consistent with the rest of the house? You talked about lap siding. I don't know of if the roofing materials, any of the other features are going to be compatible, but not the same as the front of the house. I understand that concept, but I feel like I'm operating with a little bit of information and not enough, and kind of taking it on faith that you're going to, provide something that's not going to be an eyesore, and that's going to be, compatible with the other structures in the neighborhood and compatible with the front of the house. So that I just feel like there's not enough information in terms of what goes. I feel comfortable with what comes down, but I'm not comfortable with what goes in. Those are kind of my issues. My two issues is the increase in the footage. You're doubling the size, which for me totally changes the character of that particular house as it stands. And the other is the reconstruction. I just don't feel like I have enough information, and in terms of materials that would be used and how that addition will be reconstructed, so to speak.
Can I answer those questions for him?
Yes.
The windows in the house were replaced some time ago, a short time ago. They're Sierra Pacific windows, which we were planning on matching from Wyoming Building Supplies, where we're getting them from. The roof, we're going to re-roof the whole house and everything when we get the addition.
Are they aluminum windows?
No, so they're vinyl. Linda. Linda. Linda, you need your mic.
But and the exterior is aluminum?
Vinyl clad, yeah. There's a picture in there of the house as of last week or whatever that shows the windows. Show it from the house, current.
Yep.
From the house.
Chair, if I could get a moment to clarify the scope of the application when you're ready. So when you're looking at the windows, I have something to say.
Sorry, you're going to clarify the scope of,
They
is that what you said?
need-
Okay. Do you mind just kind of repeating that for record about the windows?
The windows that are currently on the house, which is pictured in the very last picture. Those are clad aluminum with, she worked in the window business.
The windows are aluminum clad exterior, clear pine interior. So they're stainable to match the existing woodwork, the original woodwork, original doors and trim.
Yep.
The style of the windows is consistent with the Tudor Revival architectural style.
Thank you. And Charles is going to, oh, do you have a comment?
Yes, I'm looking at the last two pictures. And the first picture is the front of the house, which are 1/1s. And then the second page is, I'm assuming, well, yeah, if that's the back, those are what, 3/3?
Those were the photos from the original real estate listing from 3 years ago.
So those no longer exist, the 3/3?
Correct.
And the replacements are the 1/1 on the front?
That I don't know what you're talking,
This one right here, the 1/1.
no, this is the correct photo.
Yeah, you're looking at your,
The
But
the
at
1/1 are originals, the 3/3 are replacement. Am I correct?
Yep,
the-
that's
the-
that's what it looks like today.
That's what it looks like today.
Mhm.
And that's what you're proposing to put in the 3 window openings that are,
Yes.
okay.
And I think Charles wanted to clarify the scope.
Chair, members of the board, Charles Bloom, Planning and Development Director. I just want to note, we don't do these very often. This is in a National Register Historic District and it's labeled as a contributing structure. So it triggered the review under Chapter 64 of Title 2, 2.64. Basically what we're looking at is one piece, which is it appropriate to demolish the structure? And the Historic Preservation Board can either say, yes, it is due to the structural failure, or no, it isn't. And then they can also approve the demolition with or without conditions. So with this specific application, it was demonstrated they're demolishing it. I mean, because they are talking about the structural issues with the property. And they have proposed this additional structure that will replace that. So it is within your purview to condition it as you see fit for the replacement. I just want to let you all know that your primary review element here is just the demolition, not the design of the replacement structure, if that makes sense.
And
But
that's why I asked my question, Charles. Are we discussing just demolition or demolition and reconstruction? And now I was told it was both. Now I'm hearing that it's just demolition
Chair, through you for
with
clarification.
conditions if we want to do it.
Chair, that is correct, as what Board Member Bustos just said. It's demolition with conditions that could mitigate that demolition, which could be elements of the design.
So is it in our purview to recommend design elements or I guess I'm
Chair, members of the
still confused.
Yep, and chair, members of the board, you all are the decision makers on this process. So your decision that comes out of this today is the final decision. Any appeals of this would be appeals based on a decision being made in clear error, and they would go to the district court. So this is not a review recommendation. This is a decision
Understood.
opportunity.
Understood. Yeah, and thank you for the clarification because unfortunately I assumed that it was more than the demolition permit. So that's good to know. Did you have any further comments? Because I have some comments to make.
No, that
Okay. I do appreciate you guys clarifying how you're going to replace the roof in its entirety. So everything is matching. And the clarification on the windows also matching. The hardy board to me seems appropriate material. It is complementary of what you have. And I know I'm speaking more on design, Charles, but I'm an architect, so you'll have to forgive me. But I guess in my opinion, I don't know if I would have any conditions to the demolition. I do understand that they're increasing the size, but numerous homes in this district have. As long as they're not modifying the front facade that is visible, I guess I have less issue with the size that they are putting up. I guess in my opinion, I would not add any additional conditions to the demolition process. It sounds like they have done this historic preservation before and are understanding and have clearly replaced the windows that look a lot more appropriate than what they had previous. So that's, I guess, my comment. Anyone else? No?
I do.
Okay.
I was curious, what does the current car garage door look like? Is it a sectional garage door? I didn't see it on the pictures unless I'm missing it.
It's a wood structure with squares. You'd consider it sections of it. It's a roll-up door.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was curious if it was kind of like a carriage house type style.
No,
Okay,
no,
thank you.
just very
Round,
plain door.
steel.
Yeah.
Standard door.
It faces into the north, so it has taken all of the weather for however many years it's been up there.
Sure. All right, thank you.
Is there any other comments before we vote? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
So motion passes. So. Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't hear. It was Elizabeth and Josephine. Did you guys?
This
Oh,
is
sorry.
Josephine, and yes, I agree with the majority, and I want to say welcome to Cheyenne and thank you for your mindful diligence on this project.
Thank you.
And Elizabeth, did you?
Yeah,
We didn't
I
hear.
did. Yep,
You did?
we're good.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to strategic goals report, National Register of Historic Places.
Elizabeth, it sounded like things with the checks are getting back on track. Is that correct?
Yes. So this month really was mostly admin. It was making sure that all the invoices were correctly paid, and I did get paid, so that is exciting for everyone. But yeah, so I feel like now we're really ready to go and dive into this project now that previous work has been compensated. So I'm excited to get going on it.
Do you want to provide any updates on the reports of what you've been doing for the terminal and the other?
Yeah,
We're
I would
working
say this month hasn't been a lot of research or anything like that. Like I said, it's been primarily just trying to get the admin process taken care of, so that way I know that I can move forward with those projects. So I was kind of just waiting to see how that all shook out first. And like I said, ready to get going. So I'll
Great.
have a better research updated report next month for sure.
And Elizabeth, are you feeling like you're still on track to complete both of them on time? I can't remember what the deadline is, September something.
Yeah, I believe it's November or something like that.
Yes. So,
And
Is
if
it
I-
in September? Oh, okay.
yeah, so for the National Register nomination, it just needs to be a draft according to the contract.
Okay.
So I can get that to Casey for her review. And I believe it is stated in that contract as well that even outside of that September date, I will still help with edits to get the nomination ready to submit. So I feel pretty good about that one, especially knowing that we'll have that time to get that going. And I have been finding, the last couple of months when I've been kind of plugging on, there are some really great resources for the African American context study. I have pulled together quite a number of residences and associated structures. What I'm really finding is that not a lot of them exist anymore because it was primarily in the west side area that's been taken over by industrial companies and things of that nature. So I think I've found one or two that are still standing, but their historic integrity is pretty low. Yeah, so that's kind of where that is. But I do feel pretty confident on that. And so I need to get into archives and start going on it.
Does anyone have any questions for Elizabeth? No. Oral history projects?
I don't have a lot of updates this time. At the last meeting, Amber had gave me the contact information for somebody that I should talk to about the Hoffman building, which is on 15th. We discovered it, and I reached out to her twice and haven't heard back, so I don't think she's probably interested. But that's all that I accomplished on the oral histories this month.
It's unfortunate. Well, now you have a new lead with Aaron's dad. Do some oral history. Okay. So Historic Preservation Month, we did have the mayor's proclamation yesterday. So thank you for those that came. That was good recognition. The Du Bois Award, that's going to reopen on July 31st or?
No, Chair, through you. I've been working with Matt Murphy and he has reopened it. So it is currently reopened to July 31st. He has told me that he will put out a Facebook post on the city page any day now. And then so we'll be able to repost that one once he gets that out there.
Great. And then the Leclerc Jones Award, we did determine a date to give that award, which will be June 6th from 12 to 3 o'clock. They are extremely excited to receive this award. So they are making it quite a large event. They plan on having food and beverages, some specialty cocktails from Chronicles Distillery, and it'll actually coincide with the summer nights. Summer on the streets. Sorry, wrong. No, sorry, that's where I got confused. No, it's summer on the streets, and it's I guess a getting to know Cheyenne again. I'm not exactly sure 100% what this event is. Do you like a block party, I guess. So I'm hoping to find out more on Thursday. We do have a steering committee planning meeting on Thursday to meet actually with the building owner and do some more planning for this event. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I guess David, do you have anything else on Historic Preservation Month that you can think of?
No.
Okay.
And Chair, we'll also have a press release going out about that pretty soon.
Perfect. Yes.
Will we have the plaque by then?
I will call Trophy and see if they have it done yet. I haven't heard back from them.
But
It's
you've already
ordered.
placed- Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
great.
ordered. They just haven't let me know if it's ready yet or not.
It's one of the reasons why we wanted to kind of push it to the June 6th is to make sure we have the plaque in hand to give. And the weekend before is graduation weekend, and we assume that too many folks will probably be a little bit busy. So that's why I got pushed to June. So it didn't meet Historic Preservation Month, but yeah.
At least the public or the announcements going out this month.
Yes.
So
Just a question about the mayor's proclamation yesterday. Was like those pictures shared that we can share on our Historic Preservation Board page or anything like that?
Thank you for mentioning that. I did have photos taken on my phone. I will, Elizabeth, can I send those to you to put on Facebook?
Yes, that was on my list to ask for as well. So that would be perfect.
Okay. I will, yeah, I'll get those sent to you. So, I'm sure as you guys probably know by now, we are not doing a tour of the pump house in the month of May. I think with how the building has moved forward and its progression, they don't see a point of doing a tour at this point. There will be ribbon cuttings and those sort of things to come. So the Alliance is still keeping it on their watch list, and but I don't think we're gonna be doing any tours of the pump house anytime soon. So other than that, I don't think we have anything else going this year for Historic Preservation Month. You know, as David has kind of mentioned before, we're going to try and start planning for next year so we can be on the ball and have more things going on for the month of May. I guess any questions or comments for Historic Preservation Month? No. Education of the public and marketing.
sure about the marketing part, but I'm still trying to track down the 1990 video that that if I can find it. Can we put videos on Facebook? I don't know about that. So if I can find that, but the link got taken down or expired because of old age or something. I don't know how that all works, but I think there's one guy might have made a copy of that onto a flash drive. So I'm going to see if I can track him down.
Chair, what platform was the video on?
It was on a flash drive. And then
But it hasn't
it was
been uploaded.
transferred to a flash drive, and the flash drive went on to a website. And when you click on that website link, it says expired. It was not on the city. It was on some other thing that this Bill Lindstrom from the arts link did the transfer from VHS to digital. And he had loaded it on this some website that you could link to. But last time I linked to it, it just said this link is expired.
Glenn Garrett. That was the architect that you were asking me about earlier.
And this was a video of what was a video of?
In 1990, the Board of Public Utilities paid to have a video of, they did it either 21 or 22 buildings, went along saying what kind of style they were. A couple of them, they actually went inside and showed the inside of the buildings. It was Bill DuBois was the guy that spoke on the whatever the commentary or whatever you call it on there. And it was sent out to all the third grade classes in this school district. And one of the teachers had retired and still had a copy of the VHS. All the rest of them disappeared. The city didn't have a copy of it that we could find. But I got the tape from her and got it transferred over to digital. But I'm not sure. I might have to go back to see if she still kept the VHS. It's getting to the point where trying to find a VHS player and it was VHS quality. So you're talking like 240 or 200 pixels instead of this new 4K and 1080 or whatever. So when you show it on a big anything basically bigger than about a 21-inch TV, it looks like a really blurry mess. But on a small smaller than 21 inch. It actually, it looks pretty decent and it's got a lot of neat information on it, but we talked about doing it, but to redo it, I think would have cost quite a bit. They got a grant to do the thing back in 1990. And so
We'll turn on that old Commodore computer. We use that for most of our staff reports anyway. We still have it budget, you know, it's a bummer. So we'll see what we can find on those 5 1/4 inch floppies hanging out. We might, we'll take a look and see what we have in our documents. We do have a backup system in our clerk's office. Maybe, just maybe, something's out there. Cautiously optimistic.
Anything else before we move to Elizabeth? Elizabeth, do you have any reports for the marketing?
I do. So this last month period, we shared SHPO's preservation plan on our socials. We also did the Carnegie Library, which got a lot of attention online. So that was really great to see. And we also shared the DDA banners project as well. I still want, as I just mentioned, wanted to do the mayor's proclamation and share that as well this week. And then coming up that I wanted to get some folks' thoughts on as well, quite a few things that have popped up. On May 15th, it's the first airline stewardesses flights from 1930. So it was San Francisco to Cheyenne and then Cheyenne to Chicago. So that's one thing we could do, especially with the airport connection. On the 19th, it was noted that in 1920, the First Congregational Church had its steeple removed. And I believe that's on the south side. So that might be a good tie into that historic district. I don't believe it's there anymore when I did just a quick little 5-minute search. And then, of course, the DuBois Award will advertise that. Like I got permission for a couple board meetings ago. June 5th is when the Masonic Temple cornerstone was laid in 1901, which I think is a definite post that we should do. And then on June 6th or the 7th, if we have photos, I'll do the Leclerc Jones Award post as well. Or if we want to do that earlier, we can do that too. So that's kind of what I got.
That's awesome. I think for the Leclerc Jones Award, we're working on doing a little bit of research for the owner in order to kind of help tell the story on June 6th. And so maybe in kind of promotion of the event, I know we have some historic photos, but maybe we can share those with some of that history beforehand. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, just get me whatever you got. We'll put it up.
Cool. Any other comments for marketing committee?
Those all sound like great ideas.
On ornaments, Gary is not here, so we'll I guess skip that one. Airport fountain planning, Kelly.
Yes, so Pacific Coast Conservation is on site this week working on their test fills and testing some different materials. Amber and Patrick and I went out and met with Lucinda today. She arrived in town yesterday and will be here till Friday morning. So basically what she explained to us after she's done a little bit closer investigation is that it took her a little while to figure out exactly what was original glaze from the original terracotta blocks versus what the patch and fill material that was used previously, like the epoxy from the company that came in, I think in 2020 and did some fills to areas that had been lost. But once you pointed it out, you can actually kind of see what's original versus what was previously filled. It's a little bit different in color. So that was interesting. But she said through looking at it closer as well, she realized that the areas that are failing and coming off are not all necessarily just the epoxy that was put on previously that's non-porous. There are several areas that look like it's the original glaze that's actually popping off. Both of those are probably still likely from water that's, you know, intruding and seeping up into those terracotta blocks and not able to properly evaporate or drain through like the grout joints. So she's going to continue. She said she's got about like 10 different products total. And she was kind of explaining to us different combinations that she's testing out and trying to figure out what's going to work best, what's going to stick to the exposed sort of raw terracotta where those areas have flaked and chipped off. And what is going to be permeable. I think she was one of the tests she was working on as an initial coat that takes like 48 hours to cure. So she was going to try to get those done by the end of day today. And then she's got another product, a glaze product that she would go over it with that's permeable and should allow moisture to evaporate better than the epoxy product or something similar that would not be permeable. So the plan is still for her to continue working this week, figure out what she thinks is going to work best, and then we kind of just sit and wait. And she's also going to document. She was going to take some time today to number every block on the fountain on the exterior wall and then the interior pedestal, since there's failures on both. And she's going to mark out on a plan like north, east, southwest, and have, you know, specific designations for each area of the wall so that we have really clear documentation on exactly what's there and what she's doing this week. She said she's going to try to complete fills on at least a couple or a few of the blocks. So we have like a good example of kind of a finished area to watch and monitor over the next year when the fountain's running and then through the fall and winter. So it can go through a freeze thaw cycle. And rather than probably scheduling them to make trips up to check progress, if we have that documentation as a committee, we can go out and review it periodically throughout the year and just see what happens and how well that fares. The other major thing that she kind of reiterated and confirmed for us that we've heard before is that it doesn't make sense to put any more money in the future into repairing the fountain and the terracotta itself until we address like the water intrusion and the leaking that we know is happening. So next steps, we need to reach back out to Jason Sanchez at the city and try to set up a meeting with them so that we can get down in the vault below the fountain before they fill it and start operating it for the summer, so we can get a good idea of what it looks like in there. There was one of the floor drains in the fountain was completely backed up. There's like a puddle sitting in there today, even in the heat, and it's, you know, pretty well dried out from the storm last week, just completely like clogged and not draining at all. So that is concerning. We know they said they've had issues like keeping it clear of leaves and feathers and whatever else is clogging up the filter and making it hard for the city to maintain that and keep it running. So we need to do definitely a little bit more investigation and talking to the city and get some ideas on, you know, plumbers that have worked on that fountain in the past, as well as if the city has any ideas for fountain specialists, because I think it might require that to do some better investigation and identify what actually is going on. If it's like the cracking in the tile floor that's allowing water to get in, or what's happening. So got a little more work to do. Not a ton of progress as of today, but I do think it's still positive that we've got, you know, a professional and a preservation expert out there kind of reinforcing some of the things that we've been talking about. Oh, and I guess the one other major point she made today was that after realizing some of those things, and that it's not just the epoxy that's failing, it's actually the original glaze. She said it would not make sense. We had talked about in their original proposal, they said like option one is just sort of spot treat and propose an ongoing maintenance plan where they may need to come up once a year and repair any additional losses. That option two that we had talked about would be like more of a full epoxy removal and more permanent repair. She said because the original glaze is coming off just as much as the epoxy is, that really wouldn't be feasible, because she said like the mechanical removal takes a lot of the original material, and it just doesn't make sense because it is the original terracotta glazing that's also failing. So their recommendation is still to monitor it, figure out how it fares and what products work best, and then discuss with the city an ongoing maintenance plan and figure out how we can set aside some funds, whether that's city funds and or board funds or money from the will bequest. So the challenge with that obviously is it's going to cut back quite a bit on the beautification and the other things we were hoping to do with the park and the landscaping and signage and all of that.
Yeah, I think like Kelly said, we're gonna plan to meet there and at least just get a first glance at what's going on and understand some of that water infiltration. And that way we know the appropriate next step as who we need to contact. Patrick's already looked at the electrical, and that's a little bit of a mess. So we know we need to address that. But before we address that, we have to address the water issue. So and hopefully we'll reach out to Jason here in the next couple of weeks, because if they intend to turn it on around Memorial Day, because that's usually the plan, then we want to make sure we get ahead of that. So we get down there and investigate prior, have them turn the water on, because we do actually want it to go in there so we understand what's happening when there is water, and then have another visit after it's running for a little bit. So yeah. Yeah, like Kelly said, probably not anything you guys wanted to hear, but it's what it is. I guess any questions for Kelly?
Just thank you for taking that on behalf of the rest of us, because it sounds very complex. So
The pump house, I think we've already discussed enough. I don't know if we need to make any further comments on that. Design guidelines, we have not met again since the last meeting, but I think we need to probably meet soon on that to continue progressing that forward. So, no updates on design guidelines. And then I don't think anything else is new with the watch list items. So
I have a comment on the watch list items, demo by neglect, and it's only just sort of a half formed thought, but I thought I would mention it for the board to think about. I would just, we were talking about like all the data centers coming in and like, sort of the concern around the community about everything going on with that, which I think a lot of it has to do with like concerns about it changing like the character of Cheyenne, which is really closely connected to historic preservation, of course. And I don't know if that makes any difference in terms of like, if we want to think about timing of like trying to circle back to demo by neglect, if seems like people are sort of all of a sudden feeling more open to like regulations of things. And I don't know. So it's just a half formed thought that I thought I would throw out there, but I don't know. And there doesn't have to be any response, but
I mean, let's see, was it the ordinance is already written, right? So I mean, just the hard work of the ordinance, and we took a lot of time to address a lot of concerns that at least some former council members had. And so it's not an issue of writing the ordinance, it's an issue of timing, Josh, that this might be a time to maybe test the waters again. And I don't know how to go about that, but I don't maybe you have a better pulse on the climate, political climate. I don't know. I mean, if maybe we could talk with Pete. Pete seems, he's real happy about the pump house, and maybe there's some momentum there that we might be able to take advantage of, but I don't know enough about the sort of where the council is.
Yeah, I think right now you're starting the election cycle. I think like the next couple days is when they start the filing for the different offices and stuff. So I'm not sure whether starting something during the middle of campaign right now, and we might have changes in the city council in November that would take effect in January. But it should be probably something to look at least after the election to get going. Because I think right now, I think most of the ones that voted against it are still on the council.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I think we just keep it on the watch list, and I mean, if anything new comes of it in the next few months, I mean, I think we just keep going. But I don't know if anyone wants to be tasked to do that. No. Okay. So I guess old business, I don't think there is any, and any other business before we adjourn?
Chair, I do have one. I had a message from David Palacios. I emailed him, but I haven't heard anything back, but he said that I believe that he did some brickwork on his chimney, and that he was questioning if he should come and give an update to the board about the status of his home at this point in time.
And we haven't heard anything in a long time.
Yeah, I
So-
think an update would be great.
Okay, I will try and get him to come to the next meeting.
Chair, members of the board, I ran into David at the front counter, I believe it was Friday, and said, "Hey, buddy." I said it was time for him to come to the board to get an update. So he's expecting to fully do an update on where he is. And he's very proud of the chimney he's replaced that he had taken down. So the chimney that was there, that was once a brick chimney, is now back as a chimney. However, it's a cinder block chimney that has replaced it. So, but you are welcome to see that. But he's going to give an update on where he is with the project and where he's moving forward. So anyway, just wanted to provide that.
I guess question
update.
on that, because I thought we were pretty clear in the design of putting in the conditions of putting elements back of how they were, and a cinder block chimney is not appropriate. So is that what we're going to kind of speak on when he comes to give us an update? I guess, did you guys know he was going to do a cinder block chimney? No?
No. I'll see if I can get a street view without a keyboard. No, whatever. I don't have a keyboard. It's all right.
It's all right. Yeah. We can.
I do have one more item that's different than that I would like to bring up, because GSA, a government agency, is asking for us to hurry it up. A federal government agency, which surprising because they're usually slower. So I'm not too worried about moving this forward. But we've had some discussions regarding the Louisa Swain Federal Building. Who's not aware of that? Does everyone know what the Louisa Swain Federal Building is? Okay, it's right, literally just about 2 blocks from here. It's a 4-story building that is proposed for disposal by the federal government. Right now, they don't have any people that they're proposing to sell it to. They're just looking to advertise and get it on board. Since it is identified as a contributing structure, it's a standalone contributing structure, or National Register property, standalone. they had to go through the State Historic Preservation Office to identify potential mitigation measures for disposal of the property. The mitigation measure that was identified by the SHPO was that an agency that is capable of enforcing elements of historic preservation shall essentially be granted an easement and be the basically a lien a holder of that easement to ensure that it remains. So they've prepared a draft preservation easement, or they prepared one, we modified it, our attorney's office did, and they sent it back to us. And then I talked with John, that's his name, Joseph, with GSA, because he's chomping at the bit waiting to get this done. But basically what they're proposing is for that building, we have this simple item, the simple easement, which says, and I've asked for this baseline documentation. We have not received that yet. They've created a report that has this documentation called the baseline documentation that talks about the exterior of the building, its historic prominence, and also the lobby of the building, which has some historical significance, but we have not seen that yet. But basically, we would hold an easement that prohibits any changes to the exterior of the building or the lobby of the building in perpetuity. So this is what was discussed at the State Historic Preservation Office. I've reached out to them for some further clarifications, and I've also talked to Joseph with GSA regarding this item, because my worst fear, not that I don't respect the building, is what happens if there is another development opportunity that could occur. Should we, don't slap me when you hear this, do we want to paint ourselves into a corner where we can absolutely never demolish that building? Because right now, the only time it can be demolished is by act of God, or like fire, something happens that warrants it to be demolished. So that's really what I wanted to chat with you all about, is what your take is on that. And if we wanted to at least, where is it? Let's see. Long story short, it's if there is a damage that's of no result from them, so it would be like something like an act of God, then it is the only time in which it could be demolished. We have the ability, if we wish, to completely link it to our demolition of contributing structures review criteria, which unfortunately we didn't include in our staff report earlier, but we probably should have. But this was in here? Oh, it was. Oh, it was on the applicant submit information. Is if desired, we could put in that agreement an alternative to allow for demolition, provided the preservation board evaluates these and finds these in the affirmative. I'm just asking you all for your feedback, and I understand if you all say, heck no, we want to preserve it at all costs. Or I'm also open to understanding if you all believe we should have an out that would be based on this criteria.
Patrick?
Just a question, Charles, who owns the lien? Does the city or does this board?
Chair, through you to Board Member Bustos, it will technically be the governing body, the city.
The city.
I guess my opinion, I don't know why we would give a option for it to be demolished, because I think that sets up for anyone to find a way to demolish it. So I guess in my opinion, unless someone convinces me otherwise, I wouldn't have a provision for demolition. Go ahead, Patrick.
I feel the exact opposite. I've seen so many instances where, you know, a loophole is created and it gives, I don't know, unfortunately, a scrupulous, undeveloped developer or, you know, somebody an opportunity to demolish the building and, you know, it's gone forever and you can't.
Yeah, no, so you agree. We're saying the same thing. We're saying
Oh.
the same thing. I agree. We agree. I don't want anyone to demolish it ever.
Okay.
I don't want, I do not want
Okay,
a
I'm
provision.
with you, Amber.
Okay.
My apologies.
All right.
I don't want any else.
We only disagreed on one thing on this meeting, so we're in agreement on this one. Because exactly what you said, someone will find a way to, yep. I guess any other opinions?
Yes, they'll just sell it to the city and that, I'm just kidding. Too soon. Chair members of the
Charles,
board.
you are crazy for trying to give us an out.
I wanted to be fair. I believe that the conversation may come up at the governing body, and I wanted to fully vet the idea to the Historic Preservation Board to let them know where that is at. But this is the building itself. I believe, I don't know who knows more about it, but if I recall that this was originally a 3-story building and then they popped the top essentially at one time. But you have this side that's facing Cary, and then you have this is the front of the building that's facing 21st Street. I have not been in the lobby, but I've been put in touch with the building maintenance group. So I can have a limited tour, like a tour set up where we could look at this building. If anyone wants to be kind of on a subcommittee and look at this, I'd be more than happy to do that.
I would like to be on that. I think that I would like to see what the lobby is, since it's something we're including in the easement that we're trying to protect. I want to know what it is.
Perfect.
Charles, just curious, did Joseph bring this issue up, or is this something that you're just contemplating, that you just want our opinion on? Because I don't know. I just, will they accept, you know, leaving it externally in the lobby in perpetuity? Do you have any sense of that?
And chair, members of the board, this was me just trying to look in the crystal ball as to what questions could I anticipate at the governing body as we move forward. I was pretty confident I understood what the Historic Preservation Board would want. I wanted to make sure that I understood all angles of everything. After talking with Joseph about 2 weeks ago, I wanted to double check if it was acceptable to have that provision in there in case it came up. I wholly intend to present it based on the Historic Preservation Board's recommendation, which would be to preserve the lobby and the exterior. If there is a proposed change to the easement document that would allow for the demolition subject to those criteria, I believe not only would I need to run that by you all, just to inform you all, but I believe I do have to run it by the State Historic Preservation Office, because they were the ones who identified the level of mitigation in this specific case. So I've never been in this building. I don't know if anyone here has.
I got my social security card there in 1964, back when right now you have
Back when you were born, right?
No, you didn't have to put the social security numbers on your income tax until recently. Before that, and I had to get one to get a checking account, so I had to have a social security number to give the bank. But prior to that, you didn't need a number until, like I said, until you actually did something financial. But then I guess people were claiming they had like 300 kids on their tax forms, and So they started making them to put an actual number on there so they could trace you from birth to death. But they also had the IRS in there, and my mom got audited, full federal IRS audits 5 years in a row after even though my parents were divorced and my dad got convicted of felony tax evasion, and they went after her to see what was going on.
Well, it's 2.8 stars. um, Based on 4 reviews.
I mean, I did see that even the pyramids had bad reviews. So, I mean, it's
So Chair, okay, thank you for the feedback. What I will do is we'll move forward with the easement agreement with that in mind. I will forward out a final copy to you all for comment. We have one pretty darn close. I'm still waiting on information from Joseph. Because one thing I wanted to include is that baseline report, no matter how long it is. I think it's probably 60 pages or something like that. I want that to be an exhibit to this easement that is recorded with the property and at the real estate records group. Because right now, as it's proposed in the agreement, we're just told to hold on to it at the city. And I've seen what that looks like 30, 40, 50 years later. It doesn't look pretty. So I want to make sure we have someone who really is a professional holding on to things, hold on to that as well. Thank
Yes.
you.
guess any other comments on that? Any other business?
Chair, I guess, could I get a motion just affirming
Oh,
what your desire is?
Sure. Does someone want to make a motion to?
I move that we authorize Charles to negotiate with the GSA on the easement for it's what is it, Charles? The
The Louisa Swain Federal Building on 21st.
Louisa Swain Building to advocate for no changes to the exterior or the lobby in perpetuity. Does that make sense?
That was a great motion.
I'll
Thank you.
second. I'll second.
Okay. Motion's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Same sign? Nope. Okay, motion passes.
Great, thank you. That's all I had.
All right. Any other business? No? Okay. I like doing this. We are adjourned.